From rolling boulders to mysterious artifacts, these are the ways that Indiana Jones impacted the action genre. The Indiana Jones franchise started way back in 1981 with the legendary Raiders of the Lost Ark. In fact, it's probably one of the most important movies ever made. It was followed by 1984's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Those were some of the biggest movies of the 80s. But fans would have to wait no less than 19 years to watch the fourth film, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was released in 2008. It's fair to say that the movie received some mixed responses. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I still think it's hard to survive a nuclear bomb by hiding it in a fridge. To be fair though, Steven Spielberg took responsibility for that one. What was he thinking? In any case, they'll have another chance this year when they release Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know what to expect, but I can't deny that I'm excited. Why? Well, the Indiana Jones films are some of the most influential ever, and they completely changed the action films that came after them. According to filmmaker George Lucas, the serial films of the 30s and 40s heavily influenced the Indiana Jones universe. You might have seen some serial classics like Flash Gordon or The Lone Ranger. These short films were based on prominent characters with big personalities, crazy adventures all over the world, damsels in distress, and terrifying booby traps. Do these ring a bell? I'm sure they do. Indiana Jones was created as a tribute to this vintage style of movie making. These were films based on impossible adventures in exotic lands and facing terrible dangers. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Harrison Ford all loved these movies. They felt that big adventures deserved to be brought back to life in a more modern way, with elaborate sets and mind-blowing stunts. Nowadays, when we think of adventure films, we think of Indiana Jones. Great films like The Goonies followed soon after, and even modern franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean would be hard to imagine without Indiana Jones. However, the film's most obvious impact is on the archaeological subgenre. Indiana Jones managed to make archaeology look cool, and Hollywood took note. Think of films like The Mummy, The Da Vinci Code, or National Treasure. These films definitely took a few pages from Indy's book, and why wouldn't they? Archaeology is a great excuse to use puzzles and to solve riddles. Archaeological stories make you squeeze your brain to look for answers, and that's probably why Indiana Jones was so influential in the world of video games as well. The two best examples are definitely Lara Croft and Uncharted. In both cases, the plot and their main character were definitely inspired by Indiana Jones. Archaeology also helped with another important element, the MacGuffin. The what? Indiana Jones often uses archaeological artifacts to drive the story, like the Ark of the Covenant, the Sankara stones, or the Holy Grail. These are what screenwriters call MacGuffins. A MacGuffin is an object that sets the film in motion and sends the characters on their mission. Of course, George Lucas didn't invent the MacGuffin, but he definitely popularized its use in film. Think of how other films use this same trick, like the Infinity Stones in Marvel movies, the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, the Horcruxes in Harry Potter, or even the dude's rug in The Big Lebowski. Another contribution to the genre is how Indiana Jones did action scenes. How did they make them feel so iconic? The trick is that intense feeling of impending doom. Think of the first 10 minutes of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They walk into a dark cave in the middle of the jungle. And I mean, it's obvious that something bad's about to happen, but we just don't know what it'll be. It's a bit like a horror film. You get this terrible feeling of impending dread and doom. Of course, this definitely isn't exclusive to Indiana Jones. What makes it really special are the moments when we know what's going to happen. They find what they're looking for in the cave. But when Jones picks up the artifact, things start getting nasty. The cave's collapsing, and their only way out is closing fast. Now, the camera work's a big deal here also. First, we see the exit closing and the cave collapsing. Then we see Indy get into trouble. But we know that the door is closing in the background, creating that sense of impending doom and rushing the character's movements. And, of course, our hero makes it out just in the nick of time, but only to be followed by an enormous rolling boulder moments later. Once again, the boulder creates a sense of impending doom in the scene, and it keeps the viewers on the edge of their seats. In action scenes like this, we aren't afraid of the unknown, because we know exactly what'll happen if he doesn't hurry up. This type of scene is exactly what we associate with Indiana Jones, and it's been used by a lot of action movies since then. A great example would be Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. The Joker loves creating this type of situation, rigging a bomb and then telling Batman to make a decision. He even does this twice in the film. Once again, we know what's going to happen, but it's up to the hero to get going. Another key thing in the action is choosing the right amount of violence and gore. A film can be meant for kids, or a film can be meant for grown-ups. But Indiana Jones is somewhere in the middle. There's action and some violence, but there's no explicit sex, and the language is mild. Also, the violence isn't downright cruel. I mean, like a film about a serial killer could be. However, when the second film was released, some families were shocked when their little kids saw the famous heart-ripping scene. This led to some serious debate in the Motion Picture Association and eventually the creation of the PG-13 rating. This was the perfect solution, as it allowed films to be made for teenage and adult crowds to enjoy films. Think about it. If it weren't for PG-13, we wouldn't have most superhero or adventure movies. The main character is also essential in bridging this gap. Indiana Jones is the perfect superhero in a way. I mean, he can't fly or pick up a school bus, but he's really smart and well-read. I know that doesn't really count as a superpower, but it makes him an amazing role model. And not only that, Indiana Jones is simply a nice guy. Spielberg really wanted to create an American James Bond, but Indiana Jones is arguably better because of his personality. James Bond is cool, but he's so cool that he's kind of cold and unrelatable. Another example of a traditional hero might be Western characters like Blondie from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's brave, skilled, and overcomes tremendous adversity, but at some points, he just doesn't feel human. It's not just about shooting bad guys, it's also about showing some compassion and being able to do the right thing even when you're terrified. For example, we know Harrison Ford's character is terrified of snakes. Remember when he says, "Snakes, why did it have to be snakes?" This is unfortunate for him as he has to face snakes quite a few times, but it shows that he isn't perfect. Sure, he can pull off amazing stunts and save the girl at the end, but he also has weaknesses, just like the rest of us. And that's what makes Indiana Jones a modern, complete hero. That's why many heroes have decided to follow Indy's path. So, from rolling boulders to mysterious artifacts, those are the ways Indiana Jones impacted the action genre.